What up? What up? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we do always start the show by being transparent. And yesterday, it was a good day. 2-1 overall. Really should have been 3-0, but I'll take the 2-1. Skylar Diggins Smith hit her points prop. Storm covered the 7.5, and the team total was the one that fell short. So I'll take a 2-1. Rob, I know you had the Storm. How was yesterday for you?
Yep, I wound up with the split because I did have the Storm. I did have the team total over, like yourself. I'd really toyed with and should have been on the first half with Seattle as well, Skee, but I wasn't. So we got 1-1 out of it yesterday, wire to wire, really, from the Storm. And without NECA, she didn't even play. Why the line went down to 5 at game time, but it didn't matter. Seattle was ready. Phoenix only made 4 threes. So, like I said, it was pretty easy start to finish.
Rob, do we have a special name for this yellow, or is it just yellow? I forget.
No, we got yellow, just yellow.
So she's dialed in or something, or she's watching.
Yeah.
She went to Found Where You Live, because she won yesterday, and she has yellow here again today. So watch out for Miss Casey. She's hot as far as Rob shirt selections go. she'll get paid again today. Get some free lunch once again. So shout out to Casey. Appreciate everybody guessing. But hey, maybe you need to take a look at that spreadsheet because somehow she's locked in. Ray in the building. He says, good afternoon. A lot of people still guessing. They're curious to know who we like for the finals. We will talk about it. UCapper says you need a peach shirt.
Do we have that color listed? Skee, I have something really close. I don't know what we call that one. Maybe light orange, which is peach.
I don't know if he was talking about the color, but
well, that's Anthony's territory.
A lot of people thankful for the picks yesterday. Glad we could. Let's see, trying to get through a couple more comments here. Mario said he signed up with Wagertalk. He's rocking with you over there, Rob.
All right. Thank you, Mario.
All right, let's get to it. 2 games in the W today. 1 in the NBA. First up, we will go 601, 602. Aces and Wings. Opened up Aces minus 6.5 all the way out to -9 now. And the total looks like 169. Not much movement there. Chelsea Gray, still doubtful. Kirsten Bell, not sure if she's game time, but yeah, just truly questionable. And then you have Tiffany Hayes, who's probable. For Dallas, same 3 suspects who have been out, continue to be out for them. So Aces haven't played in a little while. They are also off of a loss. And long term, I like to think that they're, a team that bounces back and plays well. I know the one loss that they had this year, they came back the next game, and I think they won 99-80. Wings are a team that I think likes to play fast. I was thinking about this one a few different ways, Rob, and I'll talk it out with you. But while I pass it to you, I was considering Aces, whether it's early to just come out the gate after that loss and stomp on them, or maybe the Aces team total over. And last thing I'll mention is it is the Wings' first game back home after a 5-game road trip. So potential flat spot for them. How are you feeling about this one so far?
Well, I'm a little surprised at how good the Wings have been, despite, the injury list, which doesn't help them whatsoever. 2 of their better players. I don't think Sabali's coming back anytime soon, so they're going to be without her for quite a while. I think I read mid-August. But I am surprised. They're a really good rebounding team, and they combine that with pace. And they've been able to stick in these games. And, last time, at the end of last week, I think, Skee, we talked about that crazy road trip that they were on. And I think they were playing Friday, and then they were going to play again Sunday in Minnesota. They did come through and cover a 74-72 game against New York, I think it was, or Connecticut, one or the other. And then on Sunday, finally, they let go of the rope, 87-76 at Minnesota. No shame there. Had some time now off back home. I think they're competitive. And I kind of looked at this one more from a totals perspective than anything else. I think the game's probably going to get over 169. They got to 163 with Minnesota, fifth game of the 5-game road trip. Definitely fatigued. Definitely had gone through some tough teams, and still got to 163. So Las Vegas isn't going to duck pace, that's for sure. And they score. There's a lot of teams in this league, Skee, watching the first 10 games or whatever, that can't score. I mean, some of the shooting, when I go through these statistics at night, is horrific, but Las Vegas isn't one of those teams. So I think Dallas's ability to be competitive on the boards, their need to push tempo, and Las Vegas is, kind of shrug their shoulders and say, if you want to run, we'll run. They're going to score theirs. So I thought 169 was a little bit low. I think this game gets into the mid 170s.
Fair enough. And I think, I want to say I looked at the Aces off of a loss in the regular season since the beginning of last season. And I want to say it was 6-2 to the over. Very high scoring game. So we're in agreement. We think this one should have more points than not. Put some numbers to these teams for the season. 10th and 7th defensive rating, 5th and 3rd offensive rating, and number 1 versus number 5 in pace. So should at least be an up-tempo game. And UCapper, love to see him coming in saying he agrees with the over. So we'll stay with that. Next, we will go to Minnesota and Los Angeles. Opened up Lynx minus 7.5. Looks like 7 currently, and total continues to dip. Open 160.5 down to 156. And kind of makes a little bit of sense to me. Are you in agreement with the market for this total dropping down?
I think so, yes. I'm lean way more towards the side. I played the side, but I could see the total dropping down a little bit.
My bad. I'm pulling it up here. I was thinking this is an under game. Looking at the Sparks, I mean, for one, when I just think of this team, both of these teams really, I don't view Courtney Williams as a real point guard. I don't feel like the Sparks have a real point guard. And I don't know. I just prefer to play under in those kind of when I feel like that versus anything. Looking at the Sparks, 6-2 to the first half under, 4-4 for the full game overall. The Lynx defense, number 3 so far this season. I don't know. I feel like the Lynx been locked in on that end, and I think the Sparks are going to struggle to score. So maybe more so Sparks team total under. I know you'll get a low number like 74 or something like that, but it was tough for me today. If I'm betting this game, it would be Sparks team total under or Lynx on the spread. The games they've been winning have been by this margin anyway. So can you talk me off either one of those?
Well, I can't talk you off Lynx because that's where I am. So hopefully we can have that one end up in the win column. To me, LA potentially without their 2 top playmakers, right? At 3.6 and 3.4 in assists if Brown and Clarendon both can't go. That's troublesome because Minnesota leads the league in points off turnovers. And when you don't have both your top assist people in there, they're going to force turnovers and they're going to get easy buckets. So for me, until I saw the injury list late last night, I wasn't so sure about Minnesota laying this price on the road, first game of a road trip, but they've been really good this year. And like I say, the matchup, just the way they play is to create turnovers. And you've got a team that's potentially full of turnovers tonight in Los Angeles. So I do like Minnesota. I like the way they're playing, Skee. They play 40 full minutes. I've watched this team 3 or 4 times now, and every time Collier is tremendous at the rim. They've got good enough guard play, good enough shooting from their guards, and even Alana Smith. I think they win this game, but I think you mentioned it when you said they win their games by this margin. And their wins, I went through them last week. Everything was 9 or better when they win. So have to believe that the Sparks are on the short end of this. Like I say, wasn't necessarily thrilled because my power ratings, I give you this little sidebar. Power ratings showed Minnesota should have been 4.5 in this game. But when you take out the 2 top assist players for LA, Is that worth an extra 3-4 points? And it probably is, because Minnesota loves to force the turnovers. So I'm on the Lynx. I laid 7.5. Let's see how it goes.
I like it. That's making a lot of sense to me here. And I was just going through the game log once again to refresh, and yeah, it's all lining up. Sparks so far this season have not covered a home game, 0-3-1 against the spread. And the Lynx, I mean, they've covered 7 out of 8 games so far this season. So I think this is a spot where we have to take Minnesota. -7 is the best number you can get right now. That sounds like the play. So good stuff from Veno. Couple more comments. S. asking, are we saying under? Just a lean. I mean, let me see what that team total is for the Sparks, the actual number. 74.5. And I mean, Sparks last couple games, 68, 73. They did pass it the 2 games prior to that, but 73, 70 again. And the Lynx, more than capable of holding teams down. I don't know. I guess I prefer the spread more than team total. So we're saying spread more than under. That's top. All right, Rob, let's talk a little bit of NBA Finals. Doesn't start today, but we won't have you on today, so I want to at least talk it out with you. It's a lot of different ways to feel about it, but maybe we'll start with game 1. We can talk about the series as a whole too if you want. Series Mavs are currently +190. Celtics are -220. I believe -1.5 games for the Celtics. Probably has shifted from +100 to probably like -110 or something like that. So different ways to bet it depending on how you like. My first thought here, Rob, is, I mean, on the series as a whole, I think it'll be competitive. I really do. I could see it being a back and forth type series. For Dallas, their defense has looked great since they picked up their new additions. They look great in the playoffs. I just think it's a little bit of a different monster in this one. When you like you can't play like how you're playing Minnesota, or force the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands. You're not going to be able to sit in the paint because Rudy Gobert can't score. Like, everybody for the Celtics can score here, and there's a lot of different players who can create for themselves. So I think it's a much different and tougher task for Dallas defense. And for Boston, I mean, we know the cakewalk that they've had to the finals. This will absolutely be their toughest test. And I mean, people are calling them the best scoring backcourt ever. Absolutely. I mean, they're going up. It's a good matchup because Boston has really good perimeter defenders, Drew Holiday and Derek White. So I'm interested to see it. Coaching wise, I would say Mavs have the advantage. Do you agree with that? And how are you viewing the series as a whole so far?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll ever give the coaching edge in a playoff series and even a final series to Joe Mazzulla. He may earn it after this, but I don't think we can give it to him before the series starts. Jason Kidd has made a lot of good adjustments, and he's also been real good just with the locker room, I guess, right? The atmosphere around Dallas, it just seems like a love fest for this team right now. Everybody likes each other. Everybody shares with each other. It's a real good Dallas locker room at this point in time. So Jason Kidd's done a good job bringing that along with all the new players that are new faces that are mixed in here. If we start with game Skee, to your points, and I agree with a bunch of them, you know me, I'm always looking at over first. If I see 214.5, I'm looking 2 high-scoring teams. How about over? The biggest question here for me is the one you can't answer, right? You're always going to get that rest versus rust. 11 days off for Boston, 7 days off for Dallas. Are they going to be ready? So I think if you're looking to play any type of over, you try and avoid the first quarter and just pray that it goes well. If you're going to play over, the rest of the game probably picks up a little bit. I don't think in all my years of watching these final series that adjustments are ever made in game 1. These two teams are going to come with what brought them there, and they're going to play it out, and then we'll make adjustments afterwards. So to your point about Boston, scores all over the place, right? 3-point shooters. Dallas has lived on packing it in the paint and letting people shoot threes. Well, if you let these guys shoot threes, especially on their home floor, that could be problematic. They probably score. Boston's the second best home scoring team in the NBA. They're the number one three-point shooting team in the NBA. They take the most attempts from beyond the arc in the NBA. So Dallas is probably going to try and test them and see what happens in game one. The other side of the coin, I think, is interesting, Skee, because on the offensive end, not only can Luka and Kyrie, they're going to be defended by some of the best defenders on the perimeter in the game, but there are times when those two are unguardable by anybody. And now that they have that Lob City type thing going with Gafford and Lively, I don't know that Boston matches up well there. And they play Porzingis in that drop coverage stuff. He's going to go, I guess. Al Horford can get dunked on by any of those guys. I don't think they match up at the rim as far as that's concerned. I think if you're Dallas, let's go back to Indiana 1 second here, because the reason to me that Indiana gave Boston so much trouble is because they ran and then they ran and then they ran and they just paced Boston to death and came close in a bunch of games. Dallas doesn't necessarily play that way. They probably could look to later in the series if they want to. But against Boston in that perimeter defense, Brown, White, Holiday, you probably want to get those guys spaced out as much as possible, Tatum. You don't really want them setting up against you. So we'll see what Dallas does. But I think when I looked at it, 214.5 just looked too low for the way these teams play defense. And it's funny, Skee, because on the surface level, you say to yourself, wow, Boston's a really good defensive team. Dallas was the number one defensive team last 25, 30 games of the season. How could you play an over? But to me, it's really the matchups here. Dallas is going to allow threes. Boston probably makes threes. Boston can't guard at the rim. I don't think they can guard these two guys, Gafford and Lively. They did play one time. I'll bring it up. March the 1st. After Gafford and after Gafford and PJ Washington had been acquired. It went 138 to 110 Boston in this building, but it was only the 6th game that Dallas had all these players together. Since March 1st, it's 3 months. It's a different team than what Boston saw then. So there's kind of an old adage that you don't know how to prepare for it until you see it at game speed. Boston can't really simulate the dunk possibilities that they're going to see here. I think it probably gets over 214.5. I think it's probably better in the 218 range. So I'm going to try it over game one.
It does. I'm not going to lie. That 214, when I was looking at it, it does seem a little light. I think that, the Mavs are going to have to get used to the Celtics. Like you said, the way defense they've been playing is not going to work against this team, but I think they'll still continue to play it and just, have to see it for themselves, like force them to take them out of that defense kind of deal. And on the flip side, I just think I think Dallas can contribute as well. I think they can score. I really trust Luka versus everybody. The defenders he's had to face already. I don't think there's anybody he's going to be worried about going up against. I think we can trust him. The one thing I'll say is, or a couple of things about what you said. One was the lob threat and just that, I don't know. It's a little bit different. I know Drew Holiday does a good job fighting over the screens, icing screens, et cetera, et cetera. I know Luka and Kyrie are really great pick and roll players, but I think it'll be a little tougher as far as that's concerned. And even if Porzingis is playing drop, and if he's playing drop, the lob threat is not there. It's just, the mid range that you're worried about, or a step back three, maybe if Drew Holiday doesn't get there over the three. So we'll see. And you talked about Dallas playing with pace. I feel like in every series so far in the playoffs, we've heard either Luka or Jason Kidd or whoever say that they need to start playing with more pace. And I think that's something that they'll take into this series as well. You don't want to be playing against a set defense the entire time, especially with the two perimeter, defensive guards that they have. So 214.5 does sound solid. Sidewise, historically, the home teams do very good in game one of the finals. They usually have some rest advantage. Maybe not 9 days like Boston has this time around, but I'll say this. I think we talked about coaching advantages. I think the longer the series goes on, the more it's going to start to favor the Dallas Mavericks. Um, Mavericks, what do you think about this? They haven't, there's, how do I call it? Mavericks don't have a good history in game ones as far as since Jason Kidd has been there and Luka. The only one I've seen them win was versus the Timberwolves when they were coming off of that tough 7-game series versus the champs. So that was an exhausted Timberwolves team who had to come back from down 20. I mean, do they revert back to the Mavs who are poor in game ones and then, strong adjustment makers? What do you think about that?
I think game one, Skee, the category, the area that scared me the most was Boston. Scared to death to bet against them at home. Scared to death to bet with them at home because they show you at home it's either a blowout or it's a complacent game where we let the other team hang with us. Their series, the first two, had gone blowout game one, lackadaisical game two. Those were the first two series, Miami and Cleveland. Then against Indiana, I think it went opposite, right? Indiana covered game one, probably should have won game one. Then Boston, I think that was the only game they covered in the series in game two. So they scare me because it's kind of a coin flip how they're going to play here. And we know all season long, Jason Tatum told us home games mean everything to us this year because we weren't good last year, but they're still not good at home in the playoffs. So because they could go either way, it's scary. Dallas has been good on the road, right? This is a team that hasn't had home floor advantage in any series, yet they won them all. Didn't have it against Clippers, didn't have it against OKC, didn't have it against Minnesota, won every series. So they don't, and there's no venue. I'm starting, and I know we all knew Luka was good, but you start watching Luka in these playoffs and you realize, I don't know what can stop this guy. There's no venue that stops him. There's no defender that stops him. Like we were saying before, Drew Holiday may be able to fight over screens. Somehow he always turns the corner and has the defender on his hip at that free throw line. And he's just so tough. And you add Kyrie to it. So the side was tough for me. I'd almost rather counterpunch. Wait and see how game one goes and then bet the other side game two. Because that's the way Boston's gone so far. And like you say, that Dallas first game history, it's not good. And they did have, like you said, every advantage in that Minnesota series coming in. Minnesota short travel, 7-game series against Denver. They thought they had won you'd have thought they won the NBA Finals when they beat Denver. So I'm scared of the side, to tell you the truth. I'll just push it real quick to series and then let you take the floor here. I bet it early. I bet over 5.5 games in this series early, and it was $1.75 minus, which is usually out of my league. I don't like to lay that much, but it's gone up since then. And barring injury, Skee, I don't know how you feel, but I don't know how this one doesn't make 6 games. It looks to be really, really competitive, and it should at least be a 6-game series. So that was the one series bet that I made, over 5.5 games minus 175, and I don't think you can find that price anymore.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think both teams can win 2 games. And, just thinking about it, logic school on the fly right now. If you're one of those people who thinks like you don't want to bet the first game to see who wins or whatever, you can still come back after that and, take the team that lost plus whatever many games they may give you. If it's the Mavericks, I mean, they may give you plus 2.5 games at that point at a decent price. I don't know. It's a lot of different ways to see it, but I agree. Over 5.5 games should be a winner at the end of the series. We have a question in the chat here from Kyle Stewart. He says, I got a question on game one. I think Porzingis coming back will mess up Celtics, and coach for Celtics won't get it and leave him in. But I'm worried about Irving being rattled from fans. I don't think that was the question. But I hear what you're saying. I think I don't think Porzingis is 100%. I do think he's, good enough to be out there because nobody's really 100% at this time. But the longer the series goes on, I start to worry about Porzingis' health. This first game, I think he'll be just fine. I think they'll be just fine. He really can just space the floor for them, and he doesn't have to do too much, in my opinion. I might actually even look at Porzingis over 1.5 threes because you saw, like if we're talking about Dallas likes to pack the paint, I mean, they might not even want to get out there on him. He might have a lot of open looks. And the bigs just haven't been used to guarding, or at least, I mean, they guarded Karl Anthony Towns a little bit, but coming off a series versus Rudy Gobert, I mean, I just can't help but think it's going to take some adjusting too. So I would play on Porzingis threes in the first game. And I think the longer the series goes on, I worry he may start to wear down. Any opinion from you, Rob?
Yeah, real quick. On top of Towns, Chet Holmgren posed a 3-point threat for the OKC Thunder. And
he was hitting a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah, Chet had his moments in that series, and Dallas had to kind of change a little bit on the fly, which, again, credit Jason Kidd. I think if we start with Porzingis, you know what? I'll start with Kyrie. I don't worry about anything with Kyrie being rattled. I really don't. I think he's coming to play, laser focused. He's a guy where, I mean, listen, we've had our share of laughs about Kyrie over the last couple of years, but he's in a different zone right now. And I don't think he's worried too much about what the fans are going to do here. Again, I think he's like Luka, venue proof here. It doesn't matter what building he's playing and he's going to be okay. The Porzingis deal, I think, just to add, I didn't make this comment when I analyzed why I like over Skee, but I think it makes even more sense. The fact that you could split Porzingis's play in half and both halves work to the over. Standing out at the 3-point line, like you mentioned, if they don't go get him, he's more than capable. And B, at less than 100% health, not having played, and I think they said 37 days he hasn't played in, something crazy. I don't know that he can defend the activity of Lively and Gafford. These are live wires. Porzingis, the last thing you would describe him as is a live wire, kind of a stationary 7'3" guy since the injuries have taken over. So I think he's a hazard on defense. I think he's an asset on offense, which both of those help the over in this case. So 214.5, I don't know, just another thing that probably leans me toward over even stronger.
Fair enough. Good stuff from Veno. And Sean Murphy, you cutting up in the chat with that last comment right there. You cutting up, man. I can't even put that one on the screen.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. And I put a lot of stuff on the screen. But I think we did some good work on this show here, Veno. Talked out some WNBA, talked out some NBA. And now about that time where we're moving on over to best bets. Per usual, the link to both of our profiles at Wagertalk is in the description to this video. Like every play we make, you know, you're going to get an alert, you're going to get an email, and you'll get it right when we make it so you can get the best of the line. Veno, I know playoffs have been going well for me. I think I'm up like 38 units in the playoffs or so, something like that. And I know things have been going well for you. So maybe elaborate on that and let the people know what the best bet for yourself is today.
All right. So real quick, the NBA since April 1st has produced over 51 units of profit. Since May the 1st, where the playoffs are concerned, over 35 units of profit. So it's been good all around for 2 months running now. Especially the best bet, 4% or 5% plays have been running really good. I think they're 7-1 last 8. So that's been really, really good as far as NBA is concerned. For those watching who do, and I know it's another niche sport, but if you do participate in the Canadian Football League CFL plays going up today, actually, you know, last year was the first year I handicapped CFL. Skee wound up number 1 at Wagertalk in CFL. So, nice. and we've got some smart guys in our group as far as Canadian football is concerned. So kind of proud of that. We'll open up the season here. Plays will be up in a little bit. And as for the show best bet, I'm going to go back to WNBA today, and I'm going to play that Las Vegas Aces Dallas game over the 169. To me, it looks low. Dallas is going to push. Las Vegas won't back off. Las Vegas can score. Dallas can get second chance points because they're so good rebounding this year, which again is a little bit of a surprise to me. But I think the kicker was when they got to 163 against a defensive-minded Minnesota in their 5th game on the road. I thought, you know what, 163, that's a pretty high number for that situation. So 169 is what they gave us here. I think it's vulnerable. We'll play Las Vegas Aces, Dallas Wings up and over 169 tonight.
All right, good stuff. I agree with that play there. For myself, I didn't make it yet, but I'm willing to put it in there. Um, you know, you just asked me who wins. I'm gonna say Minnesota Lynx win, and every time they've won, it's been by margin. So combination of that, Sparks a little bit banged up over there, missing some playmaking. I think that the Lynx can continue to win by margin in this one. Lynx best number you can get right now, -7. That would be my best bet for the show. So, Rob, appreciate you taking the time to come on. Hopefully, we can go 2-0 like we did yesterday. I know you said you're going to be, away, so enjoy your time away, and I'll get with you again next week. For the chat, we appreciate you all as well. A lot of great handicappers and just great people in general. And I love to surround myself with those kind of people. So all of us putting our heads together is how we continue to beat the books. Let's keep it going. Best of luck if you tell. Good luck, everybody, on all your action. And we will catch you guys again tomorrow.